Tonight, tears for Nikita, found dead after missing a family barbecue. Her boyfriend is tonight in custody.
A 26-year-old man charged over the stabbing death of a young barber in Geelong.
Exclusive, the victim of a Whittlesea abduction attempt tells of her ordeal as her accused attacker faces court.
Melania steals the show as Donald Trump takes over Madison Square Garden for a mega rally starring Musk and a bit of muscle.
The younger generation ditching the great Australian dream to invest in a new kind of financial future.
And the stars come out to officially launch the Melbourne Cup Carnival. TJ is live at Flemington.
This is Melbourne's 9 News with Alicia Loxley and Tom Steinfort.
Good evening. A heartbroken brother has told how he discovered his sister's body after rushing to her South Morang home for a welfare check.
Nikita Azzopardi's partner has now been arrested after she failed to show up to a family barbecue. Lana Murphy reports.
Her name was Nikita Azzopardi. She was an auntie, a sister and a daughter. And this morning, her own family found her dead in her boyfriend's home.
I went upstairs and I went through the door and I just saw my sister. Can't get that image out of my head.
Her parents and 2 brothers grew panicked when she didn't arrive for a family barbecue last night.
My dad came here last night, the lights were on, and he banged on the door.
But no one answered, and when she didn't return calls this morning, the family returned at 10 a.m. and broke into the house.
I said to him, "Where's my sister?"
They found the unimaginable. Police were called to the Reed Street townhouse and Nikita's 33-year-old boyfriend was arrested at the scene, across the road from a kindergarten.
What I can confirm is that the parties are known to each other and that we aren't searching for anybody else in relation to this incident.
It just feels like a dream, to be honest. Doesn't feel real. Only 35 and didn't see the bad in people, always saw the good. And, yeah, I'm going to miss her.
Nikita, who worked at an accounting firm, lived between this home and one with housemates in Thornbury. She'd been in a relationship with the man for more than 2 years.
He's an introverted person. He'll answer questions if you ask him questions, sort of thing, but he wasn't like out there and, you know, approachable.
The last time her brother saw her was 10 days ago when she took his children go-karting.
And that was the last time I seen her. And I just, you know, in hindsight, if you know if it's your last time, you'd be doing more, you'd be asking more.
Let's get the latest now from Lana in South Morang. Lana, the man police arrested is still in custody.
He is, Tom, and he's been with detectives for close to 8 hours now. I can tell you his name is Joel McAuliffe. He's originally from Lower Plenty and was renting this home here in South Morang. Now, the 33-year-old, as I mentioned, was in a relationship with Nikita for close to 2 years. He was arrested here at 10 a.m. and so far has not been charged. Forensic investigators and homicide detectives, Tom, remain here in Reed Street and they say they will be here late into the evening.
All right, Lana Murphy there, thank you.
A man accused of a horrifying attempted abduction has faced a magistrate. The alleged victim says she's grateful she was able to escape and that women should have the right to feel safe in public. Crime reporter Gillian Lantouris.
A man gets out of his ute and tries to drag a 27-year-old woman into his car while she's on the phone to her dad in Whittlesea. Police allege that man is a 39-year-old who can't be named for legal reasons and fears of retribution. The Mill Park father was pulled over in Shepparton and arrested on Saturday morning. He's accused of the attempted kidnapping along Forest Street on Friday, as well as trying to coax 15-year-old Ali Hawking and her younger cousin into his ute 10 minutes before the alleged assault just around the corner. The 27-year-old woman has told 9 News, "I am very grateful I was able to escape, but countless women have not been so lucky. There was nothing I could have done that would have kept me safe." The man has been charged with aggravated burglary, 2 counts of aggravated assault and attempted kidnap. The magistrate was told the accused is taking more than half a dozen medications to treat his depression and is withdrawing from methamphetamine and was addicted to painkillers. He's been remanded and will face court here in Melbourne in December. A poignant message from his alleged victim. Women have a right to feel safe both in and out of their homes. Gillian Lantouris, 9 News.
A man has been charged over the fatal weekend stabbing of a young barber in Geelong. Dougal Beattie joins us live with more. Dougal, he's just appeared before a court.
Tom, 26-year-old James Farquhar from Colac appeared in the Geelong Magistrates Court this afternoon, charged with one count of murder. He made no application for bail and was remanded in custody over the alleged murder of 20-year-old Jamie Sykes. Police allege the young barber was stabbed to death in Little Malab Street in the early hours of Sunday morning following an altercation inside a nightclub. He was rushed to hospital, but sadly he couldn't be saved. Today, his friends and family returned to the scene to lay flowers and pay tribute to the man who was also known as Chugs. His mum, Sally Veal, released a statement reading, "Chugs, my beautiful boy, my world, my rock. That boy's heart was as big as his smile. Heaven won't know what hit them. Fly high, my baby." Two other men, also aged 23 and 26 from Colac, they presented to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. They will be interviewed by police at a later date. Tom?
All right, Dougal, thank you.
Melania Trump has joined her husband as he staged his biggest rally of the US campaign at New York's Madison Square Garden. Also with them in Democrat heartland, Hulk Hogan and Elon Musk, as thousands of Trump's army queued outside for the oversold event. More from Alison Petrowski.
Please welcome our next Commander-in-Chief, my husband.
In the heart of the Big Apple, in the stadium that's hosted the world's biggest acts, a rare appearance from former First Lady Melania for her showman ahead of his final showdown.
A very big hello to a special place. This will be America's new golden age.
New York City and America needs their magic back.
Donald Trump has long wanted to headline the Garden. Tonight, it was packed out as he delivered his closing arguments.
I'm asking you to be excited about the future of our country again.
There was a roll call of Trump's most dedicated.
Today, this is Donald Trump's house, brother.
They thought they could crush the man who built this city skyline.
As well as the world's richest man.
Put the signs up, put the hat on, let's go.
For hours, fans waited in a sea of red, white and blue, lines snaking through New York in somewhat of a homecoming for one of the city's most famous former residents.
The reason people love Trump is he made politics entertaining. Like, when he talks, he might say some wild stuff, but you could tell it's from the heart.
Why do you think he wanted to play Madison Square Garden?
It's his hometown, and it's a declaration, too.
This is a blue state which almost certainly Donald Trump won't win, but today was about ticking one off his campaign bucket list and providing one of the most watched moments of this campaign.
But there were many speakers who drew criticism amid racist remarks and vitriol. The Harris campaign quick to showcase the difference.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico is home to some of the most talented, innovative and ambitious people in our nation.
Kamala Harris in the swing states and focused on one of the most critical battlegrounds, Philadelphia. The VP on a day spent politicking in a church, a restaurant, a barber shop and a basketball court.
There is too much on the line, and we must not wake up the day after the election and have any regrets about what we could have done in these next 9 days.
Tonight, a battle for attention and a sprint to the end in an election like no other. At Madison Square Garden, Alison Petrowski, 9 News.
A woman charged with assaulting Independent Senator Lydia Thorpe claims she has been threatened. 28-year-old Ebony Bell was allowed to appear via video link at a magistrate's court hearing. It's alleged she attacked the controversial senator after this year's AFL Dreamtime at the G. It's also believed they knew each other prior to the assault. The case has been adjourned to November 22.
The Albanese government is planning a new wave of cost of living relief off the back of Labor's loss in Queensland.
Treasurer Jim Chalmers today acknowledged pressure on household budgets contributed to the election result. National Affairs Editor Andrew Probyn.
Anthony Albanese is only a few miles from his own date with voters. But of all the offerings from Queensland Labor, it was super cheap public transport that got cut through. 50-cent fares even embraced by the new Premier, the Federal Treasurer, acknowledging the lesson.
We understand that people are doing it tough. We understand that people often express that at the ballot box, which is their right.
If you run up huge debt, you mismanage the economy, you create a cost of living crisis, you can expect for the electorate to punish you.
Jim Chalmers has all but confirmed there'll be more cost of living relief in the months ahead, but insists it'll be responsible.
This election was never going to be, from our side, a free-for-all of public spending. It wasn't going to be before Saturday's outcome, and it's not going to be after Saturday's outcome.
Then again, Treasurers always look at the financial ledger, whereas Prime Ministers look at the political balance sheet and what can be done to improve it. Anthony Albanese facing turbulence over revelations he's received 22 flight upgrades over the years, some for private travel after contacting former Qantas boss Alan Joyce. Many MPs receive flight upgrades. Peter Dutton's benefited from 15 for domestic and international trips.
None of which happened as a result of me calling my best friend Alan Joyce at Qantas.
Has the Prime Minister complied diligently, transparently, consistently about declaring any upgrades? Yes, he has.
Andrew Probyn, 9 News.
A student has pleaded guilty to manslaughter over the deaths of 2 sex workers in 2022. Police originally charged 24-year-old Zhao Zhenglin with 2 counts of murder. His victims were a 31-year-old Chinese national whose body was found in a Latrobe Street apartment and a 51-year-old woman located at Docklands. The court heard Lin stole from them to fund a gambling addiction. He's expected to be sentenced within the next 2 weeks.
Victorians hoping for land tax relief after the next state election are out of luck, with John Pasuto suggesting we can't afford it. He sounded the warning as Jacinta Allen starts a fresh week talking up her housing plans. State political reporter Heidi Murphy.
Venturing to Footscray to make a further play for future votes.
We're announcing today a new program, Pick My Park.
Labor now into day 9 of announcements it claims will boost housing.
Well, I'm a builder.
Not according to the opposition.
Last week's series of announcements were just that. You could unpack everything they said. At its centre, there's nothing there.
The Premier hitting back.
It's really up to John Pasuto and the Liberal Party to explain their complete absence of a plan or a target.
Challenged on radio, the Liberal leader had an answer on proposed high-rises near train stations.
Would you scrap them?
In their form, yes.
He had bad news for anyone hoping for a promise of land tax relief.
You can't do anything in a short space of time. And I just need to prepare Victorians for the truths about just how bad the books are under Labor.
Land tax there's a lot of income from land tax.
But as for when the Coalition will have its own housing policy...
No, we'll have more to say of that shortly.
You will know this in good time.
Could be, but they're too busy fighting with each other in court.
The Premier's also fired off a warning to the new state leader in Queensland, who's already asking for a greater share of federal infrastructure funding. Jacinta Allen telling him to get in line.
We deserve our fair share. Victorians are federal taxpayers too.
Heidi Murphy, 9 News.
Homes Victoria has told the Supreme Court it did not actively seek residents' feedback on how they would be impacted by the decision to raise their public housing towers. This class action is seeking to prevent the state government's demolition of the Flemington and North Melbourne buildings. The 2-day hearing will continue tomorrow.
The Melbourne Cup Carnival is ready to stop the nation, promising plenty of action on and off the track.
As Penelope Lears discovered, from international singers to sports stars, spring racing glamour is taking over Flemington.
A colourful entrance for 2 champions and the nation's most coveted trophy.
Never fails to get the heart racing and excitement. It's the best week of the year.
Spring racing in Melbourne not complete without the threat of rain. But this year's Cup Carnival is promising to shower racegoers with hits from the early noughties. US singer Anastasia ready to kick up her heels on Derby Day.
What they can expect is the songs they grew up with.
This Saturday, just the beginning. One of 4 huge days on and off the track.
The rich history of the race and the carnival, and then a lot of the new things that we bring in.
Not only is the racing top level on the track, but look at all of this, like the park and the fashions and the food.
In a city that loves cuisine almost as much as sport, there's a lot riding on it.
Burgers, fries, what else do you really want? Let's be honest, when you're having a punt and you've got a belly full.
Every year we see such a big influx of people and people that want to come and experience what Melbourne has to offer and how fantastic our restaurants are.
The park is where punters will be able to relax and kick back, checking out everyone's race day outfits. The fashion stakes as high as ever.
I'm going pretty colourful for the carnival.
Looks aside, all eyes are on the 4-legged stars.
When you see them up close, they're true athletes. They're so fit and healthy, and I love watching them do their thing.
A golden place in the history books awaits whoever wins the right to hoist this next.
If Via Sistina runs, we just want to be with Via Sistina.
Penelope Leash, 9 News.
And let's keep that carnival theme going because Tony Jones is at Flemington tonight. That was hard to say. Looking ahead to all tonight's sport. You can do a better job than me, Tony.
Pressure's on now, Alicia. I'm going to stumble just to make you feel better. Anyway, but Jamie Carr has scored an early win. That's the big story today. And for a while, it looked as though she'd be, without a cup ride. But the dream is back on.
Heard the news and went, oh, you're kidding me. So disappointing because the horse I felt was going absolutely fantastic. But I'm very happy to straight away lock myself in with another decent ride.
Bit of footy around tonight also for you. Scott Pendlebury calls for an overhaul of the free agency rule. Move over the Dacos boys. Are these bros the new big deal? Caleb Daniels' frank admission as to why he left the kennel. Max Verstappen goes a little loco in Mexico and he pays the price. And the Hail Mary that sent American football into an absolute frenzy. Back to our football now, and Chief Footy reporter Tom Morris will have details for us on a shock retirement today. That's all coming up a little later on from fabulous Flemington.
Yeah, it is blooming there at the moment. Lovely stuff, Tony. Thank you. Up next in 9 News, arson strike. A Glen Waverley martial arts studio goes up in flames.
The front runners emerge in the race for Lord Mayor. I'll have the early vote results next.
Police introduce safe zones to protect buyers and sellers on Facebook Marketplace.
And Celine Dion's surprise appearance in Vegas brings Adele to tears.
An arson investigation has been launched after fire destroyed a Glen Waverley factory that housed a martial arts school and a men's support group workshop. The blaze has devastated the operators of the Taekwondo studio and the workshop lost irreplaceable machinery.
Not a great way to end the weekend and or moving into the celebratory Christmas period. So, we'll pick ourselves up and see what we can do.
The building's owners say they have no idea why it was targeted.
Early vote counting has revealed the frontrunners in the race for Lord Mayor. Mark Santamartino joins us live from Melbourne Town Hall. Mark, is an upset on the cards here?
Well, Tom, Carlton superstar Anthony Koutoufides cannot be ruled out of this race just yet. That's one of the surprises I have for you. But of course, the incumbent Lord Mayor Nick Rees, who was a favourite in this race, is currently leading all comers. Now, it's still very early in this race, but according to The Age, which has reporters in with the scrutineers, almost 14,000 people have put a 1 next to Nick Rees's name, saying they'd be happy for him to continue on as Melbourne's Lord Mayor. The surprises come after that. Mariam Reza, the first ever candidate endorsed by the Liberal Party, is currently in second place with more than 8,000 votes. Team Koutoufides is just a couple of hundred votes behind her. Next is Roxanne Inglewood from the Greens, and behind her, Aaron Wood on around 6,000 votes. Now, the reason it's such a shock that Miss Reza is in second place is because we've barely seen her throughout this entire election campaign, Tom. I suppose it proves that the Liberal name is still worth something within the city of Melbourne at least. That being said, even though Nick Rees is leading all comers at this point in time, he's no no shoo-in for Lord Mayor just yet because he doesn't have a majority of the vote. That means preferences are going to come into this, and if Anthony Koutafidis can leapfrog the Liberal candidate, those votes may go to him and he may in turn leapfrog Nick Rees. A lot to play out here, Tom. Still very early in the count, but certainly more exciting than many of us predicted.
Indeed. Mark Santamartino, thank you. Dedicated public spaces for Facebook marketplace trades are being set up to crack down on online scams. The safe trading zones will operate across Victoria so buyers and sellers can exchange goods with the protection of police. Laura Turner has the story.
Amelia Rossi has been buying and selling on the internet for 20 years using sites like Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree.
I've only been scammed once and I have done thousands of transactions.
She's one of the lucky ones. Scenes like this aren't rare. Expensive mobile phones, the number one item stolen during a trade, according to police, which usually involves strangers meeting to buy and sell goods. Police launched a 6-month trial after a rise in thefts and scams.
Kicked off in 2022 after our stats showed that there was an increase in thefts and robberies after people had decided to meet someone to either buy or sell goods.
And its success has meant the launch of these permanent safe zones, which are attached to 24-hour police stations, so people can trade safely. The safe zones will be at 35 police stations across Melbourne, including Mooroolbark, St Kilda, Craigieburn and Werribee, and regional Victorian stations like Mildura, Geelong, Warrnambool, Echuca and Morwell.
They're usually out the front of the cop shop. They've well lit, got CCTV so people can meet in a safer environment there. So good program with good results.
Amelia, who's now writing an e-book about trading safely online, says the safe zones are a good way to vet a stranger.
If you're selling a high-priced item, why would you not want to make the sale or travel a short distance? So there was obviously red flags there.
Laura Turner, 9 News.
Israel's Prime Minister has been heckled at an October 7 memorial ceremony after declaring airstrikes against Iran achieved their goals. But Iran's Supreme Leader claims he's exaggerating as Gaza ceasefire talks resume. Hannah Sinclair has more.
Grieving loved ones of October 7 victims taking aim at Israel's Prime Minister. Shouting shame on you at Benjamin Netanyahu as he gave a speech at a memorial ceremony in Jerusalem. More than a year on, ceasefire talks are still just that. Now being held in Doha, Egypt's president has proposed a 2-day truce in Gaza, which would see 4 Israeli hostages and some Palestinian prisoners released. As deadly strikes continue, another school-turned-shelter in northern Gaza becoming a scene of devastation. While satellite images reveal the impact of the IDF strikes on Iranian military targets. Prime Minister Netanyahu proclaiming, "We severely damaged Iran's defence capacity and the ability to produce missiles aimed at us. The attack in Iran was precise and powerful and achieved all its goals." But Iran's Supreme Leader says, of course, they are exaggerating it. Their exaggeration is wrong, but note that downplaying this is wrong too, stopping short of pledging immediate retaliation. In northern Israel, Hezbollah rockets are still causing damage as the IDF fires its own into Lebanon, while the people on all sides wait for the violence to end. In London, Hannah Sinclair, 9 News.
Around 1,000 workers are out of a job after fire destroyed a factory in Pakistan. The nappy and tissues plant took just moments to erupt in flames, but almost 24 hours for 100 firefighters to bring under control. A short circuit is believed to have ignited that inferno. No one was injured.
A truck has driven into a bus stop near a military base in northern Tel Aviv in what Israel is calling a terror attack. The driver died and at least 30 passengers were hurt. Several people were trapped under the vehicle. Many of the injured are believed to be retirees who were visiting a museum.
And a flood of tears as 2 divas collided in Las Vegas and overcome Adele, stopping her performance when she spotted none other than Celine Dion in the audience. After their brief encounter, Adele asked her fans to give the Canadian superstar a round of applause.
Livinia Nixon joins us now with the weather, and it wasn't too bad for a Monday, Livinia.
Alicia, it didn't begin with much promise. Grey skies, cool winds and light showers through southeastern suburbs. But like us all, the weather picked itself up and got on with it. The mercury rose to a maximum of 17 after a low of 12 just before 7 a.m. This high is going to be stubborn and settle into the bite for a while, bringing cool conditions with southwesterly winds. However, once winds swing around to northerlies, we'll really notice the jump in temperatures, and the heat arrives just in time for the weekend. And I'll have those details for you later in the bulletin. Alicia and Tom.
Thank you, Livinia. See you soon. Well, still to come, Reuters put on notice Bill Shorten's $15 million threat to anyone trying to scam the NDIS.
Workers forced to scramble for their lives as a fireworks factory erupts.
Plus, Chris Kohler explains why young Aussies are turning their backs on home ownership to invest in stocks.
A gunman who fired at police during a standoff in South Gippsland on Thursday has been charged. The Dumbalk North man is accused of discharging a firearm at officers and 5 counts of assaulting emergency workers. The 56-year-old was on the run for several hours before he was arrested and hospitalised.
The federal government is taking aim at dodgy NDIS providers with proposed new laws. The legislation includes multi-million-dollar fines for businesses and people who abuse or exploit Australians living with disabilities. This report from Amanda Kopp.
Bill Shorten has a message for people exploiting the NDIS.
Pack up your business model and get the next bus out of town now. This is not free government money. People with disability are not human ATMs.
The government coming after fraudsters and abusers, pushing to increase penalties from hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars.
If you, for your misconduct, harm and hurt a vulnerable person on the scheme, well, you could be risking fines of up to $15 million.
It isn't just misconduct. It's not just issues of overcharging. We do know that people's lives and bodies are in danger.
Already the government has dished out lifetime bans to more than 100 operators.
What do you have to say to the families?
Like Violetta Hanson, jailed for stealing and pawning jewellery from clients. Proposed legislation would extend those lifetime bans for operators to individual workers as well, and give the NDIS Commission new powers to refer severe cases to police. But the opposition questioning why it didn't come sooner.
Bill Shorten's about to check out, and all of a sudden he's got a bright idea. I don't understand what he's been doing for the last 2.5 years.
Well, if Peter Dutton's such a rear vision mirror expert about what should have been done, why didn't they do any of this?
We know that change like this takes time to see a really active, meaningful shift.
Legislation is expected before Parliament early next year. Amanda Kopp, 9 News.
Former Bolivian President Evo Morales has shared terrifying phone video of what he says is an attempted assassination. The 65-year-old was not injured in the shooting, but the footage shows the driver of his car bleeding from the head. Morales claims the current president is responsible.
Dozens of people scrambled to safety in India when a wholesale fireworks store burst into flames. Crackers exploded from streets away for nearly an hour. A woman suffered minor burns and multiple cars parked outside the shop also caught fire.
Young Australians are flooding into the share market in record numbers. Housing affordability is part of the reason, but they are also investing differently to their parents. Finance editor Chris Kohler explains.
Locked out of the property market, logged in to the share market, a shift that's come about through necessity.
They have to grow their overall wealth.
Young Australians are entering the world's stock markets in record numbers because while their savings might not be enough for a property deposit, they are still looking for returns.
Most of our parents and grandparents saw investing, particularly in equities, as risk, and a risk they weren't willing to take, whereas The younger generation sees it the other way around. They see it as the correct risk. In fact, they see it even less risky than things like property.
CommSec, the country's biggest trading platform, has reported a 37% spike in new accounts last financial year, now totalling nearly 3 million. And investors under the age of 40 now make up roughly half the total, the highest proportion to date. Head of CommSec, James Fowle, says younger investors are becoming significantly more active.
What we've seen is a change in the ease of getting into investing in the stock market. And the access to information for those investors is there as well.
And what older and younger Australians are buying, it's totally different. The top 5 most traded investments for over 40s are all direct share investments, mostly things like mining and resources companies. The top 5 most traded for under 40s, though, are all ETFs. They're bundles of shares traded together. It shows younger Aussies are playing it relatively safe.
So if there is some volatility or one company doesn't do as well, you're protected by being in that bundle.
It's about what they're going to see their money doing in 5 years' time.
And while that's never clear, over the last 5 years, the top investment for over 40s has gained 35%, while the top investment for under 40s has gained nearly 135%. Chris Kohler, 9 News.
When 9 News returns, simple and 90% effective, Melbourne researchers develop a new blood test to better detect Alzheimer's.
An exploding DVD player sparks a battery warning.
And how mammograms are now telling women if they're at greater risk of heart attack.
A simple blood test could revolutionise the treatment of Alzheimer's. Researchers at Melbourne's Florey Institute have developed one they believe is more than 90% accurate at detecting the disease. That's a stark improvement on current tests, which are only 70% effective. Scientists say it can be performed on commonly available clinical pathology equipment and expect it'll only cost $100.
Bought to entertain children on long drives, instead it ended up on fire in their kitchen sink. Parents Isaac and Juanita were shocked to find the lithium-ion battery in their portable DVD player had exploded while charging.
This was just engulfed in flames. So the screens here that was sitting here was on fire.
What if I had plugged the car charger in and it just exploded in front of their faces?
Almost 500 fires were caused by lithium-ion batteries in Australia just last year.
The market is holding its breath ahead of key economic data on Wednesday coming out. Chris Kohler has tonight's finance report.
This is the week of inflation. On Wednesday, we'll see the CPI figures for the September quarter, which will be absolutely crucial. A strong number, and you can kiss goodbye any hope of an RBA rate cut this year. Because there's no meeting in January, that means February at the earliest. The market is expecting inflation to drop, but energy rebates will cloud the picture, so the detail will be important. With all that going on and the US presidential race entering its final stages, the Aussie dollar is at its lowest level in 10 weeks. As for the share market, a steady day. It's been like this since mid-last week. Investors really waiting for that inflation data before making moves. That said, Paladin Energy collapsed as it struggles to get approval to buy a Canadian mine. Off the market, and retailer Mosaic Brands, which owns Noni B and Rivers, among others, officially appointed receivers today.
Heart disease is the leading cause of death among women. However, it's often underdiagnosed and undertreated. But researchers are hoping to change that by using images taken from a routine test. Kate Creedon has the details.
Rowena Newman has always prioritised her health.
I had mammograms, I had the bowel screen, I did all of the things.
But at just 47, she suffered a sudden cardiac arrest, waking up in intensive care.
And it was a total shock. I had never thought that I would be someone who would have heart disease.
Now, researchers from the University of New South Wales and the George Institute for Global Health have developed a way to check a woman's risk of heart disease at the same time as having a mammogram.
So we know that women are 12% less likely to receive a heart check at their general practitioner than men. So this is a way to engage women in heart screening in a service that they are attending.
So this is our routine mammogram, right?
Dr. Lauren Houston and her team have now received funding to implement the technology, which uses artificial intelligence to identify calcium buildup within arteries in the breast. A trial is due to begin next year, first in New South Wales, followed by the rest of the country.
And then we use those images along with their age to predict if they're at risk risk of heart disease.
This is one of 66 pioneering research projects awarded almost $14 million by the Heart Foundation, an investment that will help save more lives from heart disease.
If we can combine these health appointments and make it easier for women to engage and access health services, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic step forward.
Kate Creedon, 9 News.
OK, let's head back to Flemington now, and Tony Jones with all of tonight's sport.
Thanks, Alicia. Hello again. Coming up, we check in with the Carnival's big names. Gay Waterhouse, James Cummings and Jamie Carr. Not a bad trifecta. Also after the break, Caleb Daniel gives the Dogs a bit of a clip on the way through. The Lions set to unveil Levi. It's all in the genes. Verstappen's brain fades in Mexico. And Dwayne. Statue? Welcome back to Flemington. Champion trainer Chris Waller will make his Melbourne Cup rivals wait as he mulls over a decision as to whether he'll run Cox Plate winner Via Sistina in the big race here. But Jamie Carr's situation is a whole lot clearer tonight after finally locking down her spot. Nathan Curry has the latest.
The big names have arrived, some more hopeful about their cup chances than others.
Just Fine is your crack at a second Melbourne Cup. Are you confident he can bounce back?
Well, after him running last, I'd say no. He went to Moonee Valley.
Good honesty, good honesty.
You'd swear he was on something when he was there the other night.
Jamie Carr will now ride Moonee Valley Gold Cup winner Akita Sushi for Kieran Maher after the Freemans withdrew Point King.
Heard the news and went, oh, you're kidding me. So disappointing because the horse I felt was going absolutely fantastic. But I'm very happy to straight away lock myself in with another decent ride.
James Cummings has Zardozi coming off a fourth place in the Caulfield Cup. Should Alicia return to Flemington?
Getting back to the scene of the crime where she won the VIC Oaks 12 months ago, I think she's a real runner's chance in this year's Cup.
There is, however, one name lingering over the field.
You're a VRC ambassador, so would you like to see Via Sistina run in the Cup?
Well, no, because she'll beat us. Very, very good mare. And the way she won the Cox Plate, she just toyed with them in the Cox Plate.
The Cox Plate winner is among the 35 horses still in contention, but Chris Waller is adamant he won't be rushed into making a decision.
Everything is looking ready to go for the Carnival, but of course it is not just about the Cup. Derby Day kicks things off on Saturday, and while he's opted not to run broadsiding after a third placing in the Cox Plate, James Cummings is still going to be a very busy man.
Cummings is focused on getting Everest scratching Traffic Warden ready for the Coolmore Stud Stakes, which will give Carr a chance to start her carnival with a bang.
Hopefully Saturday I can just get another Group 1 on the board because I've still got a few more to add to that tally.
Nathan Curry, 9 News.
Footy now, and Levi Ashcroft is ready to shoulder the pressure that comes with pick one should things pan out that way on draft night. The young gun also revealing his friendly rivalry with brother Will and how he can't wait to play alongside him up at the Lions. The Ashcroft boys spoke with our chief footy reporter Tom Morris.
It's the father-son double act that'll make 17 rival clubs shudder.
For him to get an opportunity sometime next year, hopefully straight away, it'd be nice for his sake, but also for me.
It all becomes official in just over 3 weeks when the Lions call Levi's name, and potentially straight off the top if the Tigers get involved.
I'm just excited to be playing for the Brisbane Lions one day and being with them in pre-season and next year.
In truth, the boys have already been on the MCG together, and on the biggest day of all. This clip of Levi scaling the fence to join the premiership celebrations, one of the many grand final day highlights.
I'd better just check with him, and then it was no worries. He got him on, and we can enjoy that. It was unbelievable to be able to get on the ground after and see him and some of the boys. It was such a special day. 2 brothers joined at the hip, except when it comes to friendly family battles. Very, very competitive in any sport we play or anything we're doing. Could be just cards at the family dinner table, and we're competitors in anything. The Ashcrofts are lending their support to the Movember cause, as is Magpies veteran Scott Pendlebury.
Yeah, well, I think it's just becoming bigger and bigger, isn't it, with guys getting more confident to speak up about how they're feeling.
Pendle's revealing he'll return to pre-season training early and with a few new teammates after the arrivals of Dan Houston and Harry Perriman.
I don't feel like contracts mean a hell of a lot. They're good for home loans, that's about it.
A big fan of how they do it in the States, he wants clubs to go even harder when pursuing targets during free agency.
Yeah, I'd like to see it become a little bit more ruthless.
And news out of North Melbourne late today. Jaden Stevenson has retired despite having 1 year remaining on his contract, worth more than $500,000. Now, I understand he'd been mulling his future for most of the winter, and in chats with the clubs towards the end of the trade period, it became likely he would pull the pin. Now, Stevenson may have been demoted to the rookie list anyway, but this call means North now has 3 list spots, which will be filled at November's national draft. Tony?
Chief Footy reporter Tom Morris there. Hey, let's stay with North Melbourne for a tick because the latest recruit at Arden Street, Caleb Daniel, has spoken for the first time since his off-season move from the Western Bulldogs. The 28-year-old says he requested a trade after a disappointing season at the Kennel, which led to a lack of trust among his coaches.
Last year didn't pan out my way, probably through form and sort of a lack of trust from sort of some of the coaching staff and some confidence issues in my own ability.
Meanwhile, Brisbane's Cam Rayner has signed a 6-year extension, keeping him at the Lions until 2031. Overseas now, in the battle between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris for the F1 Championship has taken another nasty turn. The Red Bull driver again forcing his rival off the track in today's Mexico Grand Prix. Trent Neese reports.
After last week's drama between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, this felt like deja vu.
And for the second week running, Lando Norris has to go off the track.
Not once, but twice. Verstappen found the McLaren car off the track. It earned the Red Bull driver a 20-second penalty.
It's also not about agreeing or disagreeing about the penalty. The only thing is 20 seconds. It's quite a lot.
Ferrari's Carlos Sainz crossed the line first in Mexico, while Australia's Oscar Piastri was back in 8th. The championship battle between Norris and Verstappen now at boiling point with only 4 races left. Arsenal and Liverpool couldn't be separated after 90 minutes, battling it out in a 2-2 draw.
Mo Salah must be! He does it again!
While Manchester United's poor start to the season continued with a 2-1 loss to West Ham. In the NFL, with no time left on the clock, Washington trailed Chicago before the Commanders threw everything they had at the win.
Here comes the Hail Mary with the game on the line. And the ball is caught! Caught! It's a miracle!
Washington winning by 3 points. And there's been plenty of statue stuff-ups over the years, and today another one was added to the list. Former Miami Heat star Dwayne Wade was immortalised in bronze after a stellar career with the Heat, although many aren't exactly sure it's a spitting image of the 3-time NBA champion.
Who is that guy?
Trent Neese, 9 News.
And finally, our countdown to the Cup Carnival. 5 days now until racing fans flock here to Flemington, and Barrier 5 is the most successful gate when it comes to Melbourne Cup winners. Gate 5 has produced 8 winners, the most recent, Fiorente, in 2013. So, what gate should we avoid? Since 1983, barriers 6, 15, 23 and 24 have failed to produce a winner. So hopefully by the time these countdowns are over, we have tipped you into a winner of some sort once you take into account the weights, the jockeys, the barriers, the saddlecloths, everything else. But anyway, it's all set here. And of course, if you want to see all the Melbourne races, all the races from Flemington over the Cup Carnival, 9 is the place to be, live and free.
Flemington looking a picture behind you there, Tony. Thank you very much. And Livinia has been tracking the weather for us. How's it looking?
Well, Alicia, we're in for the long haul with this high continuing to send in cool southwesterly winds. But we'll need to buckle up for some warm weather, and I'll have the full forecast for you after the break. Good evening. We started our day under grey, cloudy skies, but by mid-morning the sun had won the battle and burst through for long stretches of sunshine, which pushed the mercury from a low of 12 to a top of 17. It was even cooler around the suburbs to start the working week. Lows of 10 and 11 through the west, light morning showers through southeastern suburbs, and Ferny Creek dropped to 8 degrees. 19 was as warm as it got, and that was a cold stream. Statewide temperatures were around average, 17 and 18 through the southwest, 25 and 26 along the Murray, and Mildura made it to 27. Around Australia, southeast Queensland and northeastern New South Wales are seeing a few storms spark up. Warnings are in place for damaging winds, hail and heavy rainfall. There's already been falls of 20 millimetres south of Innisfail. This high is proving stubborn and will remain in the bite for a few days, meaning Victoria is stuck under cooler southwesterly winds. And it will remain there tomorrow, dragging hot air from the interior over WA. Perth is forecast to have 4 days in a row over 30. They hit 32 today. Tomorrow, 33. Storms are heading for Brisbane right now and a possible tomorrow, top of 29. 25 for Adelaide, 23 in Sydney, and Canberra will enjoy a free upgrade to its maximum of a mostly sunny top of 25. For Victoria, patchy morning fog through central areas, cool through the south, high teens and low 20s. The Bass Coast may see a few light showers. In the north, up to 29 at Mildura. Tonight, only Moorabbin and Rosebud will stay in double figures. Tomorrow, maximums around the 20-degree mark. Ferny Creek is only forecast to get to 15. There may be a light shower in eastern suburbs and over the Mornington Peninsula. A cloudy day for Geelong, a low of 8 and a top of 20. In the city, a dry day with a low of 10 and a top of 19. Wednesday, partly cloudy and 21. Light showers on Thursday, 19. A dry and cloudy 17 on Friday. For the unofficial long weekend, Derby Day is looking like a perfect day to crack out a large hat. Sunny and 26. Even warmer on Sunday, a windy top of 30 with gusty showers and an afternoon cool change. So 20 degrees next Monday. Tonight, down to 10 in the city, then a partly cloudy top of 19 with light southwesterly winds. And this time tomorrow, I'll have the Cup Day forecast for you.
Can't wait, but the weekend is looking great. Thank you, Livinia. That is 9 News for this Monday. Ali is next with the current affair.
We hope you have a great evening. For now, good night.